Virus 13, Chapter 33. Monroy stopped in front of Gene Firm's entrance. The shadow of yet another looming DNA statue cast itself over the parked car. He got out of the vehicle and the others followed suit. As they all walked toward the entryway, the shorter Homeland Security agent finally broke the silence. "We are going to arrest Dr. Westman. You two will search medical records and collect DNA samples. When you're done, we will meet you back here. Let's try and keep this under an hour." The agent's voice was dry and booming. Neither Monroy nor Matt questioned his authority. They just nodded with resentment. "Fuck these guys," Monroy whispered under his breath. Matt chuckled but cut it short when the beady eyes of the Homeland Security agent shot his way. When a little troop of suits and hard demeanors entered the front door, a mounted in a security uniform greeted them. The big man sat up and stared at them from behind the front desk. "Hello, how can I help you?" "The Department of Homeland Healthcare has a warrant to investigate Gene Firm. We need to see Dr. Westman and obtain DNA samples from several employees," said the shorter agent. There wasn't even a glimmer of surprise in the security guard's expression. Without missing a beat, the man stood up. "Certainly, I'll do my best to assist you." Dr. Westman gazed down at James with a sympathetic look. "James has every right to be angry. He doesn't understand the significance of what we're doing. Now, please, get him back into his seat and pull those prongs out." Ollie stooped down and pulled a very stunned and disoriented James off the floor. Before setting James into a chair, Ollie yanked out the two sharp taser prongs lodged into the scientist's back. James felt no pain, however. His mind was lost in a hurricane of tragedies. His nieces and aunts' needless murders, the cancer had threatened his family, the viral pandemic that had been unleashed on the world. "So you are a terrorist as well." Dr. Westman clasped his hands together. "Now, James, if you will open your mind, I'm sure you will begin to see my reasons." "I will never understand how a man could take it upon himself to kill millions of innocent people," James shot back. Dr. Westman continued unabashed. "Billions of people, not millions. Now hear me out. This is a precise killing. The virus has been designed to be both potent and effective, but it doesn't infect anyone. It only targets those transgenic humans with the cancer-proof genes." "How did you make a virus that only affects those people?" interrupted James. "The secret to the virus specificity lies in the transgenic genes themselves. When the cancer-proof genes are inserted into human cells, they produce specific proteins that are then expressed on the outside of the cell. These proteins act as a docking station for our virus. The virus can then bind to the cell and slip in discreetly. So you see, only the cancer-proof humans can be infected. From our studies, we believe that within a month, all cancer-proof humans on this planet will be dead. The people of Gene Firm, including you and your family, people living in third world countries as well as the few remaining free conceptions, will be spared. If you have the genes, the virus is completely harmless." James said with more than a hint of sarcasm in his voice. "What about Linda's vaccine? Will it not stop the virus?" "Linda and her lab haven't produced a functional vaccine yet. They've been locked in lower-level labs since this morning. I'm sure they would all be very surprised to see that a vaccine was released to the public. No, what we released today wasn't a vaccine at all, but just the second phase of our plan. They will soon find out that each vaccine contains our active virus." "Oh my God," James whispered, shaking his head at Dr. Westman's incredible madness. "But even if someone managed to make a vaccine, there isn't just one virus out there. Right now, the superflu spreading around the globe is actually caused by 13 different versions of the virus. Therefore, in order to stop it, you would need 13 vaccines. Each of these viruses is an unstoppable killing machine. They make smallpox look like the common cold." "You unbelievable bastard," James whispered, realizing the difficulty of trying to reverse what Dr. Westman had done. Dr. Wispin shot James a look of disdain. All influenza viruses have two proteins on their surface, hemagglutinin and neuraminidase. In the past, when flu virus vaccines were made, different versions of these two antigenic markers were used to bolster their immunological memory. Originally, there were only 16 types of hemoglobin and 9 types of neuraminidase. They have created multiple completely novel types of each, so the cancer-proof population is facing a molecular attack on multiple fronts. Each virus is a deadly sucker punch to the immune system. No one will realize that there are multiple viruses floating around until it's too late. James stared down at the dark wooden floor. A sense of helplessness swept over him. Dr. Wiseman had engineered a plague to end all plagues. The CEO placed a reassuring hand on James' slumped shoulders. There is no reason to mourn, James. I have assured that our children will live on for centuries to come. In a year, a new frontier will once again be opened. Trees and grasslands will crack through cement. The skies will return to blue, and the rising oceans will recede. Perhaps even global warming will halt, and the temperatures will crawl back down to some degree of normality. It won't work. I told you I called Homeland Healthcare. They are on their way here and will soon put an end to all of this. Dr. Westman laughed. James, you are a comedian. Thanks to our source inside the Homeland Health, I knew about your phone call minutes after you made it. We are all too aware of the government agents headed our way. After he finished speaking, an odd silence fell over the room as James sat dazed and outwitted. The hush was finally broken by the chirp of A's phone behind them. Speak of the devil, James. It's your lucky day. Your government has come to save you. The Homeland Security agents were led away by a tall black woman to Dr. Westman's office, while Manoy went with the Hawkins security guards to collect DNA samples from a list of employees born around the same time as Dr. Logan. Mac had lucked out with the least intimidating escort, an extremely old man named Dr. Parody. The doctor had volunteered to help him access the electronic DNA sequencing records. Mac liked the fumbling old man with his watery blue eyes and dry, creased skin, who had introduced himself with all the warmth of a long-lost grandfather. The two men had just entered the expensive cafeteria when shrill alarms filled the room. Both men nearly jumped out of their skin at the unexpected noise. A few seconds later, the alarm ceased and the lights went out, leaving the room bathed only in the sunlight. Red emergency lights started to glow around the room, and an electronic female voice emanated from speakers in the wall. The quarantine breach alarm system has been activated. Repeat, the quarantine breach system alarm system has been activated. Stay calm and remain where you are until further notice. As the woman's voice finished speaking, tremors began to shake the room. Earthquake, yelled the frightened Mac. Dr. Parody gave a hearty laugh. Earthquake in Texas? Now I've heard everything is just the storm shields going up. Dr. Parody pointed at the glass wall, and Mac saw a solid piece of metal inching upward, blocking the outside view. The wall extended until all sunlight had been choked out of the building, leaving only the red blood glow of emergency lights. Mac looked over at Dr. Parody, covered in shadows, the old man's facial expression obscured from view. What is the quarantine alarm system? Mac asked. Dr. Parody took a few steps toward Mac as rows of LED lights in the ceiling switched on, distorting light. The new metal barrier was making Mac feel a little claustrophobic. He felt like he had just been entombed to serve in an afterlife as some pharaoh's unlucky slave. The quarantine alarms go off when a building's alarm security system detects the exposure of noxious or lethal materials. 9 times out of 10, it's a false alarm. Earlier this morning, we had a quarantine breach in one of our labs, which has been locked down since. This alarm can be related to that one. The security scanners next to all the doors in the room had turned an unfriendly red. They were locked in. What kind of security measures are we talking about? Matt questioned. Dr. Parody shuffled his feet. Well, for starters, you become acquainted with our storm shield. He pointed toward the vast wall of metal that had risen from the ground. Second, a quarantine breach results in all exit doors and vents being sealed. I hope that Violet wasn't able to escape, eh? Max shook his head. Escape? Are we in danger? Possibly. Is there any way out? No. My security clearance won't work on any of these doors now. So you're telling me we're stuck in here? The old man nodded his head slowly. Yes, high-level clearance is needed to get around the building now. I'm afraid I don't have that. We'll just have to wait until it is over. How long will it take? Matt scoffed. Sometimes minutes, sometimes days. About a decade ago, some poor bastard got quarantined in a primate lab for an entire week. By the time we got him out, he had developed a distributing relationship with one of the chimps. So don't get any ideas. Agent MacDonald, I'm a married man. Despite the dire situation, Max still had to laugh at that one. It was a nervous laugh, however. If the virus did get out, the vaccine will protect us, right? There was a long pause of silence after Mac asked this. Dr. Parody stared off at nothing in particular while Mac waited for an answer. Eventually, the doctor shook his head like he were coming out of a dream. What? Yes, the vaccine. Yes, we're perfectly safe, but precautions are precautions. The doctor's response did not instill much faith in Matt, who breathed down frustration, shrugged his shoulders, and then lowered himself into a nearby chair at a lunch table. Good idea. No reason for us to be standing around. My feet are killing me, Dr. Parody said. Mac's eyes wandered around the room, but stopped when he saw snacks over by the buffet area. He stood back up and patted his belly. Well, as long as we're stuck, I don't think anyone will mind if we have something to eat, right? I'm starving.